Hi everyone, we are doing the CA2 2014 Science paper. This is Booklet A. Let's look at question 1. Now question 1, why does the male animal produce many sperms during fertilization? Well, the idea here is I produce a lot of sperms so that it basically increases the chance of a sperm to fertilize the egg. Alright, so my answer is 4. Okay, this is quite straightforward. Question 2. Mandy classified the following living things as shown below. So I got chicken, grasshopper, I got the butterfly and the mealworm. So the question is asking which one of the following characteristics was used to classify the living things. Okay, so what I'm looking for is the characteristics that was used to classify. Okay, so let's take a look. Chicken, grasshopper, what do they have in common? Is it the way they move? Chicken, grasshopper, well, chicken, grasshopper, not really in the way they move, especially when it comes to butterfly and mealworms. These two move very differently. So one is out. How about number 2? The place they live. Chicken, grasshoppers, well, these two live in very different places. Butterfly and mealworms both live in very different places as well, so 2 is out. How about the way they reproduce? Chicken lay eggs, grasshoppers lay eggs, butterflies lay eggs, mealworms lay eggs. So it doesn't differentiate the chicken and grasshoppers with the butterfly and mealworms. So my only answer is actually 4. Okay, the number of stages in their life cycle. So we know that chicken and grasshopper, theirs is a 3-stage. Butterfly and mealworm, theirs is 4-stage. Okay, so we got 4 stages. This is 3 stages. So that is how these two animals are being classified. Right, question 3. So the diagram shows the life cycle of a cockroach and a mosquito. So cockroach, mosquito here. So based on the observation of the diagram only. So take note, I want the observation of the diagrams only. So don't tell me any other observations that you have or you may know. So focus solely on what you can see. Alright, so let's take a look at what we can see. A, both animals lay eggs on land. Well, you know that it's wrong, and you can see that it's wrong because in the diagram here, this is water. Here, cockroach is land, but I want both, so A is wrong. How about B? Adults have wings, so adults here have wings. This, you can clearly see that this is a wing. Clearly see that mosquito has a wing, and actually you also know that they both have wings. So we can observe it and we know that it's true, so B is correct. See, the adults of the animals resemble their young. Now let's take a look. For the cockroach, yes, the young resembles the adult, but for the mosquito, the larva obviously does not look like their young. So based on the observation, I know that this is false. How about the last part, D? 3 stages in the life cycle of a cockroach, but there are 4 stages in the mosquito. Observing it, obviously you know that this is correct. So my answer is B and D, which is 2. Now question 4, we're supposed to study the family tree below. So let's take a look at this. Based on the family tree, Daniel and Reuben both have dark hair because, okay, now obviously Daniel and Reuben are not brothers. Looking at this family tree here. Are their mothers sisters? This circle is for female. So this and this, they are not related at all. Their mothers are not related at all. So obviously no. They are both the only boys. Obviously this is no. You know that they share characteristics not because of their gender. Alright. So the last one should be the one that's correct. So let's take a look. They have the same paternal grandparents. So paternal means from the father. Yes. So both their fathers come from the same parents. So obviously 4 is my correct answer. Now question 5 is supposed to study the water level in beaker in 10 AM to 11. So based on the diagrams, which state of matter is substance in beaker A at 10 and at 11. Now, what this is actually testing you on is the characteristics of the states of matter. Now, why is this water able to be like that? Obviously, you know that if it's water, if it's in a liquid form, when you tilt it, it should look like this. So this should be in the liquid form. This is liquid, definitely. But why is this like that? Well, if you recall your concept, solids have definite shape. Am I right? So we know that solids have definite shape. And so based on that, I know that this is a solid. Okay, so this state here is solid, this here is liquid, and so my answer will be 2. Alright, so solid, liquid. Right, question 6. Diagram below shows the water cycle. So I've got A, and then goes to rain, and then B, and then goes water vapor, and then process X. So after rain, definitely these will be seawater or rivers and all these things. So obviously, let's write this down. This will be seawater or river and all these things. But in this case, looking at the question here, this is seawater. Okay. So from seawater, it becomes water vapor. So water vapor, what will happen after that? Yeah, this will be clouds. So A is clouds. Alright. So what can X be? So water vapor, how does it change to clouds? What is that process called? Condensation. Alright. So this will be condensation. Okay. So very obviously my answer is 4. Okay, so A is clouds, B is seawater, and X is condensation. Right, let's look at question 7. So this table shows the melting and boiling points of two substances, X and Y. Which of the following shows the correct states? So very common, these kind of questions. I told you before how you solve this question. You draw like a temperature line. So this is 44, and this goes to 280. So from here, before it melts, it becomes a solid. After it melts, it becomes a liquid. After it boils, it becomes a gas. Alright, so this is what you should use to help you. So for this is 110. This is 180. Alright. Now, so I want the states of X and Y at 100 degrees Celsius. So 100 degrees Celsius, at this point, is 100 degrees somewhere here. 100 degrees is somewhere here because this is 110. So, for X at 100 degrees, it's a liquid. For Y, 100 degrees, it's a solid. And so therefore, my answer is option 4. Okay? So once you draw this kind of temperature line, it becomes very obvious. Question 8. Study diagram below shows a change in state of substance X. So this is very, very straightforward. Solid to liquid. What is that process? B. I want process B. So solid to liquid. What is that process called? Yeah, it's called melting. Okay, solid to liquid, it's melting. So now Sandra, question 9. Sandra was holding a metal spoon. Okay, so after a while the spoon was cold. Alright, so take note, spoon was cold. So why was it cold? Which one of the following correctly explains why she felt that the spoon was cold? Now, what is the concept here? This is actually on heat. So what is the concept here? So basically I know that heat flows from warmer to cooler region. Right, so that's the key concept here. Heat flows from a warmer to a cooler region. Now, so because of that, what's going to happen is, okay, I'm going to use red. Okay, now this ice is going to be cold. This ice is very cold. Okay, or it's actually colder or cooler. All right, okay, now let's use the proper words. Okay, this ice is cooler as compared to my hand and my spoon. So what's going to happen is that the heat from the spoon will go into the ice, and when this one has no heat, the heat from my hand will go into the spoon. Okay, so when I lose heat, when my hand loses heat, I would feel cold. So the hand loses heat, and that's why the hand feels cold. So what should be your answer? Your answer is 3. The spoon lost heat to the ice and gained heat from her fingers. So the spoon lost heat to the ice. Because it lost heat, now the spoon is cooler, so that it will gain heat from the fingers. And so that's why she feels that the spoon feels cool, or the spoon feels cold. Now question 10. So this person set an experiment. What is he trying to find out? So always know what is the aim. So he's trying to find out the condensation of water vapor. So I got same amount of hot water at 90 degrees, or ice water at 0 was poured into cups made of either copper or glass or copper. Cups were of same thickness, size, and shapes. So basically, we run a fair test. Cup was covered with a cover made of the same material as the cup. So if it's a copper cup, then it's a copper cover. Alright. So which of the following correctly shows where water droplets will form after a short while? So the concept here is condensation. Alright, so the key concept here is the effects of condensation. Where things condense because it loses heat. Alright. Effects of condensation. Okay, so let's take a look. Now, hot water. You know that, can this happen where the water droplets are outside? Obviously not. You recall that water droplets are only on the outside when the cup or when it contains cold water, because then this becomes cold. Then the warmer water vapor will come into contact with the cooler surface, loses heat, and changes into water droplets. So 1 is obviously wrong. Now for hot water, where should the water droplets be? Yeah, the water droplets should be somewhere on the inside like this. Okay, because here is much warmer, the water vapor will start to rise, and when it comes in contact with the cooler surface here, it will start to condense. So this part here is correct, but it is this part here that is not correct. Okay, because here the water droplets shouldn't be on the outside, it should be on the inside. So 3 is wrong. Now 2 is the one that is correct, because if you look here, my water droplets are on the outside and this is ice water. Okay, this is wrong as well, because hot water, the water droplets should be on the inside. So that's why your answer is 2. Now question 11. 4 identical towels, same mass. So I got 4 identical towels here. Same mass. Alright, label A, B, C, D. So with same amount of water, okay, and laid out to dry under different conditions. Alright. So after 3 hours, the towel will weighed, and the weight was calculated and recorded down. Which of the following graphs shows the weight of water left in A, B, C, D after 1 hour? Now, so basically, what concept is this testing you on? Very obviously, this is concept of the rate of evaporation, and the factor is exposed surface area. So basically, what we are testing you is how exposed surface area affects the rate of evaporation. Okay, so that's the concept that we are looking at here. Okay, so you know that the bigger the exposed surface area, the greater the rate of evaporation. So obviously A and D should evaporate the fastest. Am I right? Okay. Now, so let's take a look. What's the difference between A and D? So this is indoors. Indoors under a fan. So what does that mean? It means I have wind. Okay, but if it's indoors, means I have no sun. No sun means not much heat. Okay, I mean, although I write no heat, but there is heat, but it's not much. Because if you compare with D, this is placed in open field under the sun. So now open field, you might have some wind, it depends, okay, but definitely you will have heat, okay, so you have some wind, depends, alright, and definitely you have a lot of heat. Now, heat is much more powerful as compared to wind, alright. If you actually do a test, when you compare heat and wind, if I have on a sunny day and no wind, my water will evaporate faster as compared to a windy day, but there's no sun. Alright, here, this concept you can test it out. Okay, heat is better than wind in terms of evaporation. So definitely D will be the first to dry, or in this case now, if we look at the graph is talking about weight of water. That means how much water is left. So which one will have the least amount of water? Yeah, D will have the least amount. Alright, because it evaporates the fastest. Now, so let's look first. Do I have my answer here? D, least amount. So actually, 1 should be your answer, because if you look at 1, it is the least among the rest. Okay, if you look at 1, it's the least among the rest. D, B is lesser. No. D, for option 3, this one is about the same. Here, this is more than A. So actually, my answer is 1. Alright, but let's just go through the others to take a look. Now, which one would evaporate the slowest? Let's look. So it's either B or C, because they are half folded. Alright, and this B is in an air-conditioned room set at 20 degrees Celsius. So obviously, this will be the most amount of water. Okay, this one will dry the slowest because it's aircon room. There's no heat, no wind. So this one, no heat, no wind. Worse. Here, I have heat, but I folded in half. Okay? So obviously this one, D, will dry first. We have the least amount of water. Alright. It's now between A and C. So if you actually carry out this experiment, you know that exposed surface area actually matters more. Alright. And so A will dry next, and then C, and then B. So if you look at our answer, this is true. D. So B will have the most amount of water, followed by C. Okay. Followed by A, and then D. Alright. So this is how you see this graph. Now I know it's a bit complicated, so if you're not sure, please check and ask. Question 12. Wendy carried out experiment. What is she trying to find out? So she's trying to find out how temperature affects the rate of evaporation of water. How temperature affects. So which of the following graph likely shows the results of her experiment? So you know that the greater the temperature, the greater the rate of evaporation. Okay, so that is our concept here. So let's write this down. Okay, so the greater the temperature, the faster the rate of evaporation. That means if it's very hot, it will evaporate very fast. Now let's look at the graph here. The graph is on volume of water in the beaker versus temperature. Okay, so as temperature increase, if the greater the temperature, the faster the rate of evaporation, what's going to happen to the volume of water is going to get lesser. Correct? So the hotter it is, the amount of water left in the beaker will be lesser. So that's why your answer is actually number 4. Okay, because the greater the temperature, the amount of water left will go down. Okay, so this question is a bit tricky, but just read and understand the graph and you shouldn't go wrong. Now question 13, you're supposed to study the picture here. So you see lots of dead fishes, you see a ship here. Should be which of the following could be the causes of what happened? Okay, so let's see. Too much rainwater. Does too much rainwater cause fishes to die? Obviously not. Alright. Oil spillage from ships. Yes, this is definitely one of them. Too much algae in the sea. Now, if there's algae in the sea, will it cause the fishes to die? Yes, it actually does. Because the algae will block out the sunlight. And when the sunlight is being blocked, plants cannot make food. And if there's no food, there's no oxygen. No oxygen, fish will die. Okay? So take note, Too much algae will also cause the fish to die. Alright, I'll just write it down. Okay? So the algae blocks sunlight. Plants cannot make food, so no oxygen. So fish die due to lack of oxygen. Okay, so that's why too much algae is bad as well. How about D? Release of industrial waste. Obviously this is true because when you release industrial waste, it kills the fish. Okay, so my answer is 3. So 3 bar magnets A, B, C, D, E, F are arranged as shown below. Now if they are arranged like that, it means that these two are unlike poles, because unlike poles attract. So which one of the following arrangement is not possible? So I want something that is not possible. Okay, so how do you solve this kind of question is now you don't know which is north and south, but you can assume, okay, or you can guess. If this is north, this will be south. Now if you assume the other way around, your answer will still be the same. Okay, so I can also assume this is south and the other one will be north. Right, so but for this case, I'm going to assume A is north, B is south. So if B is south, C will be north, because if not, then they will not be able to attract one another. So this will be south, this will be north, this will be south. Okay, so based on my assumption, let's take a look at 1. So D here, I'm going to put in D is south, based on my assumption above. So south, south, because it's the same thing. Okay, So then C is north, E is north, F is south, A is north, B is south. Now, is this arrangement possible? Obviously not. If you look here, these two norths and these two souths will start repelling one another. So this arrangement is not possible. Okay? Right, now let's take a look at, okay, this should be option, this should be 2. Let's take a look at 2 to see whether it is possible. E is north, F is south, B is south, so A is north, D is south, C is north. Okay, so let's see. Possible. North-south attracts, north-south attracts. A and D north-south attracts. So 2 is okay. Number 3. B is south, so A is north. C is north, D is south, F is south, E is north. So again, it's possible because they are all unlike, they can attract. So 3 is okay. How about 4? Let's take a look at 4. C is north, D is south, A is north, B is south, E is north, F is south. Again, possible because south-north, unlike poles, unlike poles. So 1 is my answer. Okay, so 1 is the only one that cannot be possible. Now question 15. Johnny accidentally kicked his football over, blah blah blah. So he decided to use a periscope to enable him to see. Okay, so he used 6 mirrors. So which mirror enabled him to see the ball? Now, so what's going to happen is the light will fall onto the ball. It will reflect up. Okay, so it will reflect in. Okay, it will reflect off F, reflect off D, reflect off B, and into his eyes. Alright, so what do the mirrors that he needs will be F, D, and B. Okay, so it's that straightforward. F, D, and B. Okay, that's the end. See you in Booklet B.